Coming up on today's show, an NBA news and rumors mailbag where I take all of your questions from our loyal subscribers here at Chat Sports. But first, if you haven't subscribed, do so right now by hitting that big red button down below or go to youtube.com/chatsportstv. If you're watching us right now and you're like, man, I really like that guy's pretty face, or you think I'm ugly but you like the content, here's why you should subscribe to the channel. Multiple videos per day, year-round NBA, NFL, and college football coverage. We bring you live coverage for the NFL draft, the NBA draft lottery, as well as the NBA draft and much more, as well as watch parties, which we'll be doing for all of the NBA Finals games. All of our content 100% free, and we here at Chat Sports are considered real ones. I know the ones who are subscribed are real ones as well, so join the family here and help us get to 300,000 subscribers. We start this mailbag with this question coming in from Warzone Snipes. Detroit Pistons trade number 5 and Jerami Grant for Anfernee Simons and number 7. Now, a lot of these trade ideas throughout today's show, as you're watching us live, you know what I'm talking about. If you're watching us after the fact, a lot of these trade ideas I haven't really liked. For the Pistons to trade away number 5, as they kind of got cucked in the NBA draft lottery, and Jerami Grant for Simons as well as 7, I like Simons a lot. I thought what he was able to do last year was great. CJ McCollum gets traded away, and he immediately emerges as a very good offensive player. Now, ideally, I think Portland would like to pair him up with Damian Lillard. They'd like to hold on to him and see what they can do as the new backcourt duo in Portland. But for Detroit, Simons with Cade Cunningham, especially if you can't get Jordan Ivey, I do like that pick. And Jerami Grant going into the final year of his contract. If you don't think that you're going to re-sign him, why not get some value back for him? Shay tuned in once again. Do you think Zach LaVine will re-sign with the Chicago Bulls? Right now, in early June, I do believe that Zach LaVine is going to return to the Windy City. Why wouldn't he? They have a really good team. Lonzo Ball, if he's able to come back off that knee injury, and I know the Chicago Bulls, a little bit concerned about that knee injury moving forward, but if he comes back, he's a really good point guard. DeMar DeRozan had a career year last year, even though he's in his early 30s. Patrick Williams is a great defensive player who can soon become one of the better 3-and-D players in the NBA. You have Zach LaVine if he comes back, and then, some of the other pieces on that roster. I think the Chicago Bulls are moving in a good direction. Now, I think that they can be a little bit better defensively, and they certainly fell off a cliff there last year, especially once the injuries happened to Lonzo Ball, as well as Alex Caruso. But if you're LaVine, I think you look at the team and you're like, okay, before everybody started to get hurt, we were moving in a good direction. We were winning a lot of games. We were the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference at one point. Why would I leave to go elsewhere, especially if the Chicago Bulls are willing to pay him? LaVine is one of the best scorers in the NBA, and if he does become an unrestricted free agent, he'll become one of the most sought-after players in this free agency class. Speaking of the NBA Finals, which is what we talked about a little bit earlier as I teased our NBA Finals watch parties, who is the best player in the NBA Finals? Is it Steph Curry? Is it Jason Tatum? Do you think it's Jaylen Brown, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, somebody else? Let me know in the comment section. I'm putting you to the test. Tazzy27, if Chet Holmgren is off the board, should OKC take one of the top 3 players and play them at the 5? If I'm OKC, I'm going Paolo Banchero. I have serious concerns about Chet Holmgren and his body type. I'm not sure what position he's going to play, how he's going to defend players like Joel Embiid, Rudy Gobert, the Joker, some of the top centers and bigs at the NBA level. And if he doesn't play 5, can he play 4? Is he going to play wing? Can he even add weight to his frame, which is a little bit hunched over? He is one of the trickiest NBA draft evaluations that we have ever seen legitimately. If I'm OKC, I'm going with the more sure thing in Paolo Banchero, who gives me flashes of a Chris Webber with more of a three-point shot. Banchero needs to be better defensively, but I love the development that's taken place with some of these young players at OKC. If Banchero can go there, I think the ceiling is very, very high for him. And even if Chet goes there, I do think that he'll be able to be a very good player. Personally, though, I'm just going Banchero. So to answer your question, Banchero if Chet is off the board. Next question coming in from Tony. Jordan Ivey or Johnny Davis would be good alongside Cade Cunningham. Go Pistons. Johnny Davis would be a really good scorer. He needs to be a little bit better in terms of his three-point stroke because last year he was so inconsistent and just not efficient enough from long range. If he's able to work out that part of his game, He was the best scorer at the college level last year. He, too, has a lot of potential. I would side with Jaden Ivey. I love the thought of teaming up Ivey with Cade Cunningham. I think that right there is an excellent backcourt duo who would allow the Pistons to have a very bright future. So I'm going Jaden Ivey, but Johnny Davis, he'd be a pretty good fit, too. I'm just not sure if it's a little bit too early to take him at number 5. Joseph, who or what do you see the Pelicans doing with the 8th pick? I'd like Johnny Davis there. If Benedict Mathurin falls, I like him in that slot as well. For Johnny Davis and Benedict Mathurin, for that matter, you bring them in off the bench, and they give you a little bit of spunk, a little bit of a scoring edge as a rotational piece. I think both of those players would fit well on that roster. And for New Orleans, if you're a Pelicans fan, you got to be really, really excited about this basketball team. If Zion Williamson comes back, CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Jose Alvarado, Herb Jones, you select a Johnny Davis or a Benedict Mathurin with some of the other pieces on that roster. And that's without really Devontae Graham playing at all. Maybe he's a trade chip and you can get something back. Pelicans, arrow pointing up for that team. Here at Chat Sports, we have people tuned in from all across the globe, every pocket of America, and internationally as well. Where specifically, though, are you watching us from? Shout out your zip code, your area code, your state, your city, your borough, your town, whatever, in the comment section right now. And while you're down there, make sure you subscribe to us on Rumble as well. You can follow our NBA Now content on Rumble for more NBA news and rumors juice. One of Trace Gerard's favorite words, rumble.com/NBA Now. Make sure you subscribe to us on the Rumble side of things. Okay, we did get a $20 super chat, and I did say if we got to $50 of super chats on our live show, that I would shotgun a beer. After this mailbag is up, I will shotgun that beer. If you're watching us after the fact, this is why you tune in to us live. The Gold Eagle 99 coming through clutch. Appreciate you, my guy. Jason Kreider, what are your thoughts on Steph Curry's legacy after we win the title and he gets his finals MVP? Okay, so you got your prediction in. Also, is that Drake who's bald, or do you just look like Drake and you're bald? That's pretty wild if that's the case. For Steph Curry and his legacy, if he gets championship ring number 4, it's crazy to think that he ties LeBron James. And in this generation, if Steph wins another championship, and if he overtakes LeBron with yet another championship, does he become the face of this generation of the NBA? I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. I don't think that's a hyperbolic statement. Steph Curry also would vault into one of the top 5 or 10 players in NBA history if he gets another championship and he wins a Finals MVP. Now, up to this point, he has not gotten an NBA Finals MVP. Went to Andre Iguodala, and 2 went to Kevin Durant. So that would add another element to his mantle on his resume, which would further solidify his resume as one of the game's greats of all time. Michael, any news on a possible expansion team to Seattle? I'm going to say this right now. The NBA is going to add 2 teams over the next 5 years or so. I think one is going to be in Las Vegas, and the other is going to be in Seattle. I think those are the 2 new expansion teams that are going to enter the NBA fold. And because of that, I think the NBA schedule is going to get limited and knocked down from 82 games, and there are going to be less games played because the NBA will be able to make up for that loss of revenue with new teams. Seattle is one of the best sports fan bases in the country. The fact that the Supersonics were taken away was a joke. OKC's done a great job rallying around the Thunder, but for the franchise to be taken out of Seattle, that shouldn't have happened. They're going to go to Seattle. I think they're going to go to Las Vegas. And LeBron James, he's part of the Fenway Sports Group that I think is going to invest in an NBA franchise. And it would not surprise me if LeBron is on that new Las Vegas team. Jamison Clegg, would you trade Donovan or Gobert, or would you blow it up and trade both? I wouldn't want to trade both. I think they need to get better with their wing defense. They're bad defensively along the wings, and they continue to get gashed. Now, they've been a really good regular season team, but they've been exposed defensively because of the lack of premier wing defenders. Let's say they traded for a player like Matisse Thybulle. My gosh, he would be so good on that team if he can become a more efficient three-point shooter, because right now he's in the low 30s in terms of the percentile. But trading away Donovan and Gobert, I'd like to keep one, and I think you win championships with guards and wings. I'd like to keep Donovan Mitchell and get a lot back for Gobert. I think you could get a really good package back for him and maybe give Donovan Mitchell more shooters, but also more wing defense. I wouldn't completely blow it up. I would certainly consider messing around with that roster, though. Tillman, Shaedon Sharpe to the Kings. It's a good fit. Shaedon Sharpe has superstar potential, and he could legitimately be the number one prospect in this draft class. He has that upside as a scorer who reminds me a lot of a Bradley Beal or a Jalen Green. Here's my scouting profile on Sharpe. Number one recruit in the 2021 high school class after he reclassified and enrolled early, but he never played for Kentucky. So he's one of the biggest mysteries in this draft because there's no college or professional tape on him. Going from his junior year to his senior year, he grew from 6'4" to 6'6", above the rim athlete who can certainly sky, and he can get a bucket from absolutely anywhere. Another super chat coming in, $5 from D-Lo. What do you think about the Spurs in terms of what they should do this offseason? They are the current favorites to land LaVine if he leaves the Bulls. So what do I think about the Spurs? Yeah, look, they've been a mediocre team for a little while. Greg Popovich is one of the greatest coaches of all time. He hasn't done much to move the needle the last couple of years. Now, I think there is something to be said for them at least being competitive and competing for spots, in the NBA play-in tournament. San Antonio over time, one of the best dynasties of all time in the early 2000s, and then in that 2010 range when they went back-to-back NBA Finals and won that championship against the Miami Heat. But since then, they really haven't done all that much. Now, they got shafted when Kawhi Leonard had asked out. If he's still on this team, they become an interesting team year in and year out. And they didn't get much back in that deal, trading away Kawhi Leonard to the Toronto Raptors. But the Spurs right now, look, do you bring back Lonnie Walker? I think he's an underrated player who's about to break out. I love DeJounte Murray. They do have some other decent complementary players. You trade away White, and he's been awesome for Boston. They do have the cap space to land a Zach LaVine and sign him to a big deal. They also have the cap space to maybe go after a player like DeAndre Ayton. They could go big fish hunting this offseason. And if they do, if they add a star with DeJounte Murray, they immediately become a pretty interesting team in the Western Conference. Who is the most underrated player in the NBA? That's my final question for you during this mailbag. After you ask me a bunch of questions, I'm asking you one more. Most underrated player in the NBA? Let me know right now. Thanks for watching this mailbag.